A building in Dubai International Financial Center was damaged after a debris from a successful interception caused minor damage to the facade amid the US-Israeli conflict with Iran in Dubai. Now, thick plumes of smoke were seen rising from the area as emergency teams rushed to the scene to contain the blaze. Meanwhile, another massive fire has also been reported in Al Quoz area of Dubai, raising fresh concern amid the escalating regional tensions. Now, viewers, I'm being joined by the executive editor of News9, Karthik Malhotra, from the newsroom. Well, Karthik, what do you have to say? Because now we are getting this reports that Iran has struck the all-important building in Dubai.
Yeah, well, there isn't really a confirmation yet, Sabia, on whether the projectile which has been intercepted was actually targeted at DIFC or at some other installation in Dubai. But the fact that it had been intercepted in the vicinity of DIFC and the debris has fallen in DIFC on a building, particularly in DIFC, it just goes on to show that that the scope and the scale of the war has potentially impacted even the financial district. And DIFC, mind you, is among the most important regional hubs for financial connectivity, financial trade across the world. If I take you back in history, 2004, until which DIFC was actually, erected, it was Dubai. The entire region was known only for its fisheries trade and, of course, some, some movement of gold shipments from one part of the world to another. But with the establishment of DIFC, Dubai pretty much became the center of all the action when it comes to financial trade. In fact, it caters to the entire MESA region, which is your Middle East, Africa, as well as South Asia, becoming a very, very important financial district. Now, some of the names, of global companies, and I want to name, some of the US banks which operate out of DIFC include the likes of Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs, just to give our viewers some perspective. In addition to that, even the Swiss banker Credit Suisse operates out of DIFC. We also heard reports yesterday that Deloitte had actually got its buildings evacuated, and all the employees of Deloitte were actually asked to move out yesterday when certain explosions were heard. But this morning again, the projectile getting intercepted right in the skies above DIFC and the debris falling on DIFC, if nothing else, is definitely sending some sort of tremors to the financial world that could this potentially be another target that Iran has its sights on. Because if DIFC were indeed the target, and if there were to be more likely attacks on DIFC, then the entire financial world, the Western financial world, as well as some South Asian banks that operate into from that region of DIFC, could potentially be targets for Iran.
Well, Karthik, Dubai is a key Middle East financial center. Now, with this incident, whether it could affect the investors' confidence or the regional financial markets today?
So I don't think there's going to be a direct impact on the capital markets, but of course there is a sentimental impact, and the confidence which you mentioned is something which is likely to be dented, because at the end of the day, the war and any war for that matter is never meant to target civilian infrastructure or civilians, non-combatants. But what we are seeing this time around is that perhaps the scope and the scale of the operations, willingly or unwillingly, are also taking civilians into their engulfing civilians also into their wake. So overall, there isn't really likely to be a major financial impact or an impact on capital markets across the world. But sentimentally, and when it comes to confidence, that is something which could be dented. Again, remember, there are multiple US banks, European banks, even Indian banks, Chinese banks that operate from DIFC. So DIFC is a very, very important conduit in the entire MESA region, which, and if there is a sentimental loss, if there is a confidence loss in that region, it is something which is likely to spook investors over time, but immediate impact on capital markets, at least, is nothing that we are seeing at the moment.